Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing today? How are you guys doing today? Hey, this is Gregory Wilds coming live to you from Houston, Texas with this inspirational morning talk. Hey, for first-time listeners, I come on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8:45. And I just give you a little word of inspiration in the morning to get your day started. But it's not a beautiful day, but I can stay indoors today. I can just stay indoors and get this message out, man. It's a great, great day. Hope it's a great day wherever you are. Happy Friday to everyone. Hey, but what I want to talk about today, I can get into it. I want to talk about courage, the courage and the determination to do the things that you are called to do. Courage and determination to do the things that you are called to do. Because the things that you are called to do, you're going to need courage to do them. You're going to need courage to do them because the road is not going to always be easy. They're going to have bumps in the road, and you have to have that courage. You got to get a determination to push past and do the things that you need to do. Good morning, Jillian. Good morning, Big Sis. How are you today? How are you today? Hey, so Beverly Gomes, good morning. Good morning. How are you doing? So let me define courage first. Courage is the mental or moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. Right? It's the mental or moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty, right? So that's what we're talking about. And that's what we're going to need to get to where we need to go. We can need some courage. So let's look at Deuteronomy 20, 1 through 4 first. Let's look at Deuteronomy 20, 1 through 4. This is when Moses was giving them all these laws and everything, telling them, preparing them for when to go to the promised land and telling them all the things they need to do. Here we tell them when to go into war. So Joshua, right? Here we tell them when to go to war. So when you go to war against your enemies and see horses and chariots and an army greater than yours, do not be afraid of them, because the Lord your God, who brought you up out of Egypt, will be with you, right? He tell them when they go to war and you see your enemies and you see horses and chariots and an army greater than yours, he said, do not be afraid of them, because the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, will be with you, right? So he said, you're going to see horses, you're going to see chariots, you're going to see enemies greater than you. He's not going to remove those things. He's not going to remove those things. So the challenges in our life, he's not going to remove it. He's not going to remove it. It's going to be there. But he said, he will be with you. He will be with you, right? When you are about to go into battle, the priest shall come forward and address the army. He shall say, hear Israel, today you are going into battle against your enemies. Do not be faint-hearted or afraid. Do not panic or be terrified by them. For the Lord your God is the one who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to give you victory. So what I'm saying, the stuff that you have to do, it's going to take some courage. Look at me carefully. It's going to take courage. He's not going to remove those horses. He's not going to remove the chariots. He's not going to shrink the enemy. But he's saying, you got to go because I got you. I'm going ahead of you and clear the way. But you got to have the courage to come behind me. He's ahead of you. Make no mistake. He's ahead of you, clearing the way. But he said, you're going to got to get the courage to come behind me. You got to get the courage. You got to trust. You got to come behind me. No, I'm going to clear those battles. You remember this with David and Goliath, right? He didn't shrink Goliath in front of David. He didn't shrink Goliath. Goliath was still the big giant, and he had a sling and a stone. Even Goliath was like, man, you want to insult me, man? A little boy, number one, just come with a little shepherd staff? Am I a dog? You want to insult me like that? I'm a big-time warrior. Come to me with your shields and your arrows and your guns. I'm a big-time warrior. Even your experienced warriors scared of me. And you coming to me, man, you're just trying to insult me? No, but it's God who cleared the way. Is he clearing the way? Let's look at the next one here. All right, let's look at the next one here now. Deuteronomy 31, 6 through 8. Deuteronomy 31, 6 through 8. He said, be strong and courageous. Here we saying, this is when he was telling Joshua, you're going to take these people over to the promised land. But you got to be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. You got to be strong and courageous because, guys, fear is the biggest, the most effective fighter. Let me put it this way. In the kingdom of darkness, fear is the one who all those different enemies is standing behind, waiting for fear to open the door. It's like the marine ring in the enemy's army. They go and clear the way. You know, the Marine ring is going, in the case of the United States Army, there's the first one in, clear the way, and then everybody come in. That's what fear does, right? That's what fear does, right? So let's go on, then we can discuss a little bit more. Then Moses summoned Joshua and said to him, in the presence of all Israel, be strong and courageous. Again, he repeating this. He just repeated up there. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. Then again he come back and telling them, Joshua, be strong and courageous, for you must go with these people into the land that the Lord swore to your ancestors to give them, and you must divide it among them as the inheritance. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, guys. So I'm telling you, for the thing that you got to do, you going to need courage. You got to be strong and you got to be courageous. I don't know what you're facing, but you got to be strong and you got to be courageous, knowing that God is going before you and you got to trust him. You pray, you're doing your good deeds. Remember he said, you're going to get the reward if you stay with it, right? If you stay with it. Stuff might be taking a little, you're thinking it's taking a little long. But no, we can go into our next little story here. But you got to be strong and you got to be courageous, guys. You could sit in your little corner and play life safe and don't go through no battles, don't go through no difficulty, don't see no horse nor no chariots. And you're going to just stay in a little corner safe and just die and never experience the thing God wants you to experience. Because you want to play it safe. You don't want no challenges. You want to avoid every little. No. To get to where you're going, to your promised land, there can be big enemies in front of you. Number one, the enemy is not going to make it easy. Because if you do the things that you're supposed to do, that God called you to do, that is affecting his kingdom. That's a direct threat to his kingdom. And so he's going to try to put speed bumps in front of you. He's going to try to put potholes. He's going to try to do whatever it is to scare you off and make you think this cannot happen. It's too hard. It's too difficult. You're not going to achieve it. That's his goal, to scare you. But you got to push past it, knowing God is going in front of you. Let's look at this story quick. Timothy, let's remind you about Timothy. 2 Timothy 1:7, where it said, for God has not given us the spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. So those three things he gave us to combat the fear. He gave us power, he gave us love, and he gave us the self-discipline to combat the fear. Don't take fear lightly. Fear would cripple your entire life. Not just a season. Fear would cripple your entire life. But you got to be strong and push past the fear. This invention we making here right now, what I talking to people around the world, just on my cell phone, in my house. If someone was afraid of this investment and people talk them out of what they can achieve and laugh at them, you think we would be doing this right now? Everything we enjoying, somebody had to be courageous, somebody had to be bold and go out and say, I don't care how foolish this stuff sounds, I go in and do it anyhow. I go in and do it anyhow. The light bulb and all that, what they talk about, the man fail 1,000 times and all of that. I just was learning somebody, I didn't do my own research, to drink 7-Up. Why the man named the drink 7-Up? Because he failed with the formula 6 times. 6 times was down and the 7th time he was up. And that's how it's come about. I didn't do my research on it. I heard a pastor was talking about that. That's how the drink 7-Up come. He failed 6 times and on the 7th time, he got it. So he called it 7-Up. 6 times it was down and the 7th time was up. So 7-Up, there it goes, right? He was strong and courageous. Mr. Stephen, Adams, good morning. How are you doing? Okay, so let's look at the story of Naaman because a lot of us are there, right? Naaman, 2 Kings 5, 9 through 14. 2 Kings 9, 5 through 14. Hear what it says. So you remember the story with Naaman? He had this leprosy. He was in the Armenian army, a big warrior. But he had leprosy, right? And one of the Jewish girls was a slave in the house to tell him, man, I wish the master would go and, and see this prophet, right? This prophet in Israel, and he could cure his leper. Long story short, Naaman said, okay, I can go and do this. I can go, They managed to convince him, and just taking a little word from a slave girl. But he said, I can go. He desperate. He need his healing, right? So he went. So I can pick it up for him when he actually went to see Elijah, right? So this is 2 Kings 5, 9 through 14. So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and waited at the door of Elijah's house. But Elijah sent a messenger. Elijah sent a messenger out to him with this message. Say, go and wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan River. Then your skin will be restored and you will be healed from your leprosy. So he didn't even come out, right? So let me read on a little bit more, then we talk. But Naaman became angry and stalled away. I thought he would certainly come out to meet me, he said. I expected him to wave his hands over the leprosy and call on the name of the Lord, his God, and heal me. Aren't the rivers in Damascus, the Abna and the Pharpar better than the rivers of Israel? Why should I wash in them and be healed? So Naaman turned and went away in rage, right? So this man tell him, Elisha the prophet tell him, just go and dip 7 times. I don't need to come out and see you. I don't need to wave no big wand over your head. But the thing is in this story is obedience. And that's what God asks us to be obedient. If I tell you to do something, no matter how big it look, you be obedient. Know that I'm going before you. Aren't them scriptures we read when he was telling Joshua, know that I'm going before you. Right? Be obedient. I tell you, go and wash 7 times in the Jordan. Go wash. It's just the obedience. He could have go, the instructions could have go and say, go to the market and buy 7 mangoes and eat the mangoes. It could have been anything. It could have gone and said, pick up and throw a rock into the river and you're going to be healed. It's the obedience to do what he's telling you to do. That's the moral of this story, the obedience. But look how he could have missed his blessings here, right? You get angry. Got this man ain't come and do no gymnastics. Normally, that's what we like, right? We like somebody to come and perform little gymnastics over his head and talk in tongues and slap us around and throw us down. And then we know we get a breakthrough. But if we just say, hey, go and do this. He like, this is foolishness. I come all this way for this man just to tell me, go and dip 7 times in a dirty river. And we got better rivers back in Egypt there, right? We got better rivers. And he telling me this dirty river I need to go and dip in. What foolishness is this, right? But like I said, it's not the river. The river ain't got no healing power. It's the obedience in the word of God. So let's see how this story end up here. So he went away in a rage, but his officers tried to reason with him and said, Sir, if the prophet had told you to do something very difficult, would you have done it? I said, man, if this man tell you to go and do something difficult, would you do it? So you should certainly obey, key word, obey him when he says simply, go and wash and be cured. Obey is the key word. Obey, right? So Naaman went down to the Jordan River and dipped himself 7 times as the man of God had instructed him. And his skin became as healthy and as the skin of a young child and be healed. So he went, he after getting upset, he went and he dipped 7 times. So I want you to tell you this, and with God's breakthroughs and the difficulty you're facing, and you might think there's no end to it. Just like Naaman was dealing with this leprosy for years. For years. This day here, nothing changed. He didn't wake up that morning and his leprosy looked like it started to go away a little bit. No. And that's the thing when you're going through a difficult time right now, you think God not listening, God not hearing. Let me show you this. Even when Naaman dipped the first time, and how fear does grip us and stop us from our blessing. Number 1, he's mad. This instruction is too simple. Right? Number 2, when he dipped the first time, now he's thinking, now, if I go and dip 7 times in this river here, and I come up the 7th time, and I'm not healed. How foolish I would look in front of all of these people, all these my people. I would look foolish in front of them. A big warrior like me go and listen to this man who just let me dip 7 times, and I go and dip 7 times, and I look so stupid in front of all these people. This big prestigious warrior like me, and nothing happened when I dip, and that's what the enemy wants you right there. Nothing gonna happen. You do this, nothing gonna happen. That don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. You're gonna dip in a dirty river and then you're gonna be healed of your liver. You go to all those doctors and you couldn't be cured, and just dipping in a little river gonna make you, and the enemy can talk you over. You look stupid in front of your people. Now if you're gonna dip 7 times in there and nothing happened, how stupid you would look in front of all your people. You're the leader of these people, and that's how stupid you're gonna look. That's what the enemy can does. That fear, and then you can get upset. I ain't doing no foolishness like that, right? That's what the enemy want us. But here is the point I want to get with this too. Naaman dipped 1 time, nothing happened. He dipped the second time, nothing happened. What was the instructions? Dip 7 times. The first time he dipped, the second time he dipped, the third time he dipped, his skin didn't start to come a little cleaner as he kept dipping. Nothing happened. The same way he went down and dipped, and he came up the same way his skin was. He dipped the 6th time. Guess what happened, Michelle Spark? Good morning. Good morning. How are you? He dipped the 6th time, and guess what happened? Nothing happened when he dipped the 6th time, right? It didn't start to clear up a little bit and give him some encouragement and give him some confidence that, oh, this stuff is working. No, the instructions was dip 7 times. It didn't say dip 5.5, or you can see some improvement in 6.5. It said dip 7 times. Obedience. So Naaman, go and do this now. Boom, dip 7 times. When he come up, that's when the miracle happened. And that's the same thing with God's breakthroughs. You might be going through a tough time right now, trying to do the things that he called you to do. And you're like, man, God, when there's end in sight. And it could happen 1 minute. Your life can change. That's 7 times. But you see, a lot of us, we just like me, we on the 6th dip. We just dipped the 6th time, and the enemy talk us out for dipping that 7th time. He talked us out from dipping that 7th time. Now, if Naaman said, oh, this thing is foolishness, I dipped 6 times, I ain't even see no little improvement here. Walk away and get upset. This stuff ain't working. And that's what we do a lot of time in the Word of God. We get the instructions, we doing the stuff, a little difficulty come, and we saying this stuff not working. I doing it for a year, I doing it for 2 years, I doing it for 3 years, and I ain't seeing no difference. The man down the street doing his wickedness, and he looked like he progressing. And I doing this 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, 3 months, how much ever, and I ain't seeing no progress. And then you give up, and you're on the 6th time. You just need to dip 1 more, maybe 1 more day. In some people cases, 1 more week. Some people cases, the next year. It's another month. It's another hour. It's another 2 hours. You never know. When your 7th time you dip and you come up clean. So, the first thing, we got to be obedient. And next thing, we got to be courageous. We got to be courageous and strong. Because the enemy and the course that you got to go on to do what you need to do is going to look hard. The enemy can design like a screensaver. It's like you look at your computer, you could put on any screensaver you want on it, right? It's like those stuff what they talk about now on for people to get you to click on the stuff on online. What they call it, clickbait, right? They put a nice picture on there and something and get you to click on it. What they call it, clickbait. That's what the enemy do. He make the screensaver ugly as possible, make it look hard, and you don't want to click on it. Because as soon as you click on it, there's all your goodness behind right there. Everything you're going to achieve is behind fear. It's the other side of fear, right? So I'm telling you, that stuff he calling you to do, you got to be strong, you got to be courageous, and you got to be persevere. What courage says, so we define courage as here, the mental or moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. So your road is going to be difficult. He's not going to remove the challenges, but let me read again what Moses told Joshua when he was going to the promised land. He said, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, because those enemies was huge. The big was established cities, had huge armies, right? The Lord your God goeth with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. So when you go into the battle, when you're doing the thing, God is in front of you, already clearing the way. He's in front of you. But you got to believe that. You got to have the courage and to follow him, knowing that he leading the way. You only following. He taking care of those enemies, right? Then Moses summoned Joshua and said to him in the presence of all Israel again. Joshua repeating this stuff to him because he know the task. Remember Moses bring them out of Egypt? Moses brought them out, so he know all these challenges ahead, and he know what it's going to take. So he repeating this again and again and again to Joshua. You got to be strong and courageous. He just tell him that. Then he bring it in front of all Israel. Then Moses summoned Joshua and said to him in the presence of all Israel, be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. Be strong. No God going ahead of you. I do this for 40 years, Joshua. I did this for 40 years. And God didn't fail me. So I'm telling someone out there right now, be strong and courageous. You probably start what he asks you to do and the road getting a little rough and you want to quit. The enemy telling you this ain't making no sense. You're wasting time. Quit. Just done. No. If Naaman had quit on the 6th dip, he would not have been healed. If Naaman had quit on the 6th time he dipped, he would not have been healed. I remember a story your mother told me, and then we can finish up here. She used to live in the Northwest here. The people from Guyana who know anything about Guyana, that's right close to the Venezuela border there. There's a one of the richest part of the country there. Got a lot of gold. You could get gold from going in the sea, or you could get it from the land, right? The people who know anything about gold. But anyhow, this guy had bought a patch of land and he hoarded this area. Got a lot of gold. He got a nice patch of land and digging. I don't know. I think she said it was, I can't remember the exact time, but let's say it was a year. But he dug for a year, you know, he sacrificed from his family and he gone in and he dig. He said, go in the bush and he dig. Nothing. And he said, you know what, this land here is not a good piece of land. And he sold it. When he just was going to abandon the land, but you just don't do that, right? You can't. And to give someone something is harder than if you sell it to them. So he just sold it for $1. Just get rid of this land. This land ain't got nothing. Boom. And he sold it to 2 brothers living in Bartica area there. And do you know, he was like Naaman on his 6.5 dip, I would say. As the story goes, those guys, the first day they dug, they hit the jackpot. The first day they dug, they hit the jackpot. So he did all of that work for a whole year to clear the land for them. And that's how God works sometimes for us. He would have someone else do all the work and then give it to us. But that guy gave up. He was on his 6th dip like Naaman. He didn't want to wait for the 7th dip to be cleaned and hit his jackpot. He gave up. So I'm telling you out there, do not give up. Continue to press through. Continue to press through. A lot of times he's working on you. He's working on you. Continue to persevere. Continue look in the face of danger and you keep going. Know that he's ahead of you guys. I feel so good this morning because this gives me more courage to do the stuff that I need to do also. Right? It gives me more courage to do the stuff I need to do. And I hope it gives you the courage to do the things that you need to do. And like he's saying here, let me read this quick and then we're done. In Deuteronomy 21-4, how we started out. He said, when you go to war against your enemies and you see horses and chariots and an army greater than yours, do not be afraid of them, because the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt will be with you. You're going to see armies greater than you. Those challenges are going to look like it's more than you, but he's ahead of you. Just have the courage and the obedience to follow his word, follow what he's telling you, and go ahead and get to your promised land. Or in the case of Naaman, dip the 7th time and get your healing. All right, guys. I'm going to leave that there. Have a great day, guys. A weekend, and we'll talk again on Monday. Okay, bye.